became delirious. So my maternal uncle by marriage had a car, so he drove uptown, tell the company doctor to come out to my grandparents' house because I was delirious after running a high temperature for a couple of days or so. And he just popped a shot in me, and it progressively got worse and worse and worse. And what it was scarlet fever that developed into rheumatic fever. And they told my mom that I had to take an antibiotic. And I remember hearing her telling my grandmother and grandfather, she said, that's going to cost me 50 cents a day, and there's no way I can afford that. And my grandparents said, we will find a way. We will find a way. Some of them are just some of the struggles that that you face in that. And of course, that rheumatic fever damages your heart and kidneys. In fact, I had a friend of mine who had it about the same time, who was a minister in North Carolina, had a heart attack one day preaching in the pulpit, and that going back to when we had rheumatic fever. And he has a brother as well, who's close friends of mine, and that, of course, they went to Duke once a year, I think, to keep tabs on it.
With the struggles that you faced, how were you able to pull yourself up by the bootstraps when there really weren't any boots to pull up? How did you overcome a lot of the challenges you had as far as not having a whole lot of resources available?
Yeah. Well, ironic, one of my best friends in high school, why are you taking all these college credit courses? And we just want to just get through school and then, get us a car. Live at home, mom. We don't live at home with mom and dad and just get a car. I said, Ronnie, I said, the difference between you and me. I said, you want a car. I said, I want to have car lots. I said, that's the difference. You got a very narrow vision. And his wife was talking to us not too long ago. And by the way, she was in my wife's high school class, and they have every 5 years have a reunion. We go back, and she says, I just can't see how you and Ronnie were friends in school. She said, I just, he's just this way. I said, you're in that. The foundation that was laid early on by my mom in there, and of course, joining the Air Force, and I used for the GI Bill to go to college. That obviously had to help me. I mean, we could not, So that helped me a lot in there. So if any of you here, if you're not sure about, well, I don't know really what I want to do. It was a given that I was going to serve in the military. 75% of my maternal family served in that, so it was a given. I was the first one in my family to go. Okay, first one. My brother, high school, he stayed 8 years. Then when he came out, he was discharged in November of 1970. But the struggles that I faced continued on. I told you about my stepfather, I told you about my father. In 1982, my sister-in-law, at 32 years of age, was rushed to the hospital in Southeastern General, what was called at the time, in Lumberton, North Carolina. And then was later went on to Duke and stayed, and she was in intensive care for almost 4 months. And they finally diagnosed her with lupus, and by that time it left her paralyzed in that. She had a 5-year-old boy, and she had an 8-year-old daughter. And she struggled, but yet my brother went in and had the house completely redone for a wheelchair and built her a shower and everything. And in 2004, the doctors at Duke, and by the way, she told me, she said that she is the only documented case in the world that paralysis set in and later diagnosed with lupus. There's 3 basic tests for lupus, and Duke had their 4th one, and all those tests did not show that. And there was a dermatologist that went in and popped a bleep on her and realized he saw this lupus virus. Nobody had it in their family or whatever in there. But she told me, she said, I rolled in and all these doctors from all over the world was there, and I rolled in and they were talking about her case and everything. So from 82 until 2004, they followed her case. And she was scheduled for a colonoscopy, and the doctor said, we want to build her immune system up. She went in on a Wednesday. They ruptured her colon. And then on Friday, August the 13th, 2004, she died. 6 months later, my brother's granddaughter was age 19, was killed in an automobile accident. Just 6 months later. And my brother retired at age 60 from DuPont. And it's the chemical end, it wasn't the textile end of that. And then in April 2007, they diagnosed him with cancer. And he died December 29th at age 63. It was 63 on October 16th, and he died on December 29th. So those struggles continue. Those struggles continue. I left a very important part out. I told you I joined the military March the 22nd. Also told you I stayed on 2 different occasions with my maternal grandparents. My grandmother, on February the 23rd, 1968, at age 60, she died. And I left about less than a month later after losing, but she was very, very close to me. Very, very close. But all of those just, you ever heard it said, what don't kill you make you stronger? Well, I can attest to that. But you got to realize through all of this, my faith played a very important role in that. Very important role. And in June of 1994, as my mother laid there, I had to make the decision to take her off a respirator. And she lived 2 days. It was very hard, very difficult decision. And my sister said, are we doing the right thing? I said, Mother believes there's a better place just like we do, family. All we're doing is keeping her here for us. Because they're saying, we can't do anything else than that. So those decisions, and the military helped me in making those decisions. And I was very young, as I mentioned, I was 19 in that, but when we went on a mission, when we come back, and this is where I learned about keeping it short and simple, getting involving people, on every mission that we went on, we came in and they broke that mission down. And I was just a crew chief now. But I had just as much input as the pilot did on that C-130. We had 54 C-130s in my squadron. 36, 37, 38 was that. We had 18 in each one of those. I had input and said, okay, the mission was accomplished, it was very effective, but we also have this opportunity here where we could be even more effective. Because sometimes the decisions you're making is affecting people's lives. Isn't that? So that I've got that early involvement, even from the Air Force. As I said, they were one of the first ones to recognize my leadership abilities.